What if I told you that the worst ever Minecraft update wasn't 1.9's PvP changes, or even 1.10 that added basically nothing? No, this video is about version 1.3.1, and you're a victim of its changes without even knowing it. In the very beginning, Minecraft was only playable as a single player game. You couldn't join a server, and you definitely couldn't play with your friends locally. While multiplayer development started just 5 days after the first release of the game, survival multiplayer, also known as SMP, wasn't released until August of 2010, almost a year after survival was introduced. Multiplayer had problems. It took until Alpha 1.0.17 until time could pass, and until Beta 1.2 until you could see armor on other players. The Nether also came late, working in Beta 1.6, 7 months after its introduction to singleplayer. So why was it that these features could work in singleplayer, but took months and months to work with multiple people? Minecraft multiplayer was, in essence, a completely separate game. In singleplayer, the world, your inventory, everything was managed by your version of the game. When you broke a block, it could just delete that block from the world, no questions asked. When you picked up an item, it just spawned it in your inventory. This was the simplest way to develop the game, and it made sense to do so. In multiplayer though, things couldn't work like that. Imagine being able to just say, okay, I have a stack of diamond blocks now in my inventory. Or, yeah, your base just doesn't exist anymore. To fix this, in multiplayer, your client sends packets, which are tiny little snippets of data that tell the server what you're doing. Instead of saying, this block doesn't exist anymore, it says, hey, I've started breaking this block now. And then, okay, this block broke. And the server will reply, hey, this dirt block has dropped on the floor. And when you stand on it, the server can say, this dirt block is now in your inventory. Do you know what else should be in your inventory? A YouTube subscription. Claim your place under 20k today and help us beat that other guy trying to steal my name. I've heard he has a terrible track record. Anyway, packets were always going to be needed. You need to be able to tell the server your actions in some way. So Mojang essentially developed 2 ways of playing Minecraft. One that worked in single player, where your game could still manage everything, and one that worked for multiplayer, where your game sent packets to whatever server you were connected to. But, well, they can't just send a packet for every tiny thing, like buttons pressed, or the pixels you see on screen. At least, not in 2012. Trying to do so would result in tremendous lag for every little thing. Imagine how terrible it would feel if it took half a second to move forward every time you press W, or if you fell off a ledge before you even saw yourself getting close to it. Instead, the workload is split between the server and the client. The client would handle rendering the world, based on the information it knew about the server. And when the player did things the server needed to know about, such as movement, breaking blocks, opening chests, it will tell the server. This is why, for example, you have to wait for the chunks to load in after you join a server. Your client stores those chunks and uses them to show you the world around you. The issue is, this wasn't perfect. Splitting up the work like this required a completely different way to run Minecraft, meaning they had to rewrite a lot of the single player codebase to actually work in multiplayer. And, well, if there's one universal constant, it's that writing code leads to bugs. And writing more code leads to even more bugs. That, combined with the huge amount of effort it took to essentially write 2 versions of any new behavior, meant that for Minecraft 1.3, they decided this would no longer happen. They decided they would much rather maintain one single version of Minecraft, and deleted single-player Minecraft. Well, not exactly deleted. Obviously, you can still play single-player today, so clearly they didn't delete it. Except, they did. Single-player today, and in all versions after 1.3.1, just starts up a multiplayer server on your PC and connects to it. They called this the internal server. And if you've ever seen the shutting down internal server message when you quit a single player world, this is why. But Thomas, you might say, didn't this solve all the issues? Now Minecraft is running on a single codebase again. Well, yes, it did make the game much simpler to develop for. It also had a few unintended consequences. Number 1 is simply that single-player Minecraft is now running both the client and the server. It's gonna take more performance, especially since it now needs to store the chunks in memory twice, process entities twice, and so on for almost every feature. This led to a lot of hate from players with worse computers, with some users even reporting it would change their Windows theme due to processor load. The second unintended consequence stems further than just performance issues and a slightly warmer computer, and it affects everyone. Now, every time you do anything, be that clicking a button, killing a creeper, or breaking a block, it lags. This doesn't make much sense. A server hosted on your own PC should have no latency, no lag. But it's actually not just latency from packets sent from client to server causing this, it's Minecraft time. The way that Minecraft actually processes time is quite similar to how we view it as humans, seconds on a clock. If a creeper is meant to take 1.5 seconds to explode, something needs to count that time down. Now, what noise does a clock make? Well, it ticks, of course, and that's exactly what Minecraft does too. In real life, a clock ticks down once a second, but only processing things once per second in Minecraft would make for some really choppy gameplay. To make up for this, Minecraft actually ticks 20 times per second, and almost all gameplay is processed in this 50 millisecond interval. Minecraft also needs to watch these ticks on the client side. After all, if a mob is falling, it can't simply freeze midair until the server sends you the new position. So, there are client-side ticks and server-side ticks. The client will predict things like entity movement between ticks, and also allow you to turn around and look at things without a fixed frame rate of 20. And then cue big changes to happen in the next client tick. However, the client and the server are not in sync. They tick at different times, and this behavior leads to the lag I mentioned earlier, and also to some funky bugs. Like this bug that you've probably all seen, that happens when placing or picking up liquids in a bucket. This is known as a desync, also responsible for the so-called ghost blocks, and if the client and server ticked at the same time, this wouldn't ever happen. This exact same ticking discrepancy is also responsible for rubber banding in mobs, or even the sun as it travels across the sky. The client's prediction is different from the server's due to a difference in client and server ticks. This problem is exaggerated the further from the server you are, or the slower the server is running, which means this too hurts the players on lower end machines harder, but everyone is affected. The final unintended consequence? Bugs. Every single multiplayer only bug is now, well, just a bug. This is a lot of bugs, from mobs behaving wrong to damage always hitting you from the left. That's right, this is supposed to look like this. And that bug was only fixed this year, after 11 years of plaguing an integral game mechanic. There's also this bug, where items on the ground show in the wrong place. This bug, where minecarts don't actually turn the player's vision. This bug, where arrows face the wrong direction when hitting mobs. And this bug, where mobs have shadows at night, the vignette doesn't show at night, and water is far too bright. All of these bugs have been broken since this update, and are still not fixed as of update 1.20.2. And believe me, there are more bugs than this, like the number of hearts of damage you took, not being fixed till 1.8. The travel sound. Not being played when you change dimensions, not being fixed till 1.9. Oh, and on that topic, the entering the nether and entering the end messages that still aren't fixed. I could go on listing more and more bugs, but I think you get the point. To their credit, they've been working on fixing most of these bugs over the years. Like I said, a few of those were fixed within a couple years. But that doesn't change the fact that players have suffered through these issues for years now. Plus, some of these bugs definitely feel like intended behavior nowadays, and changing them could result in player backlash. Making changes to something like PvP mechanics didn't work out too well for them in the past. From the sounds of things, this update was just terrible. Luckily, this isn't entirely the case. They really outdid themselves here, and there's a whole host of good additions you know and love that you can thank this update for. For example, thanks to this merge, the multiplayer-only features moved over to Singleplayer too. This means that we now get commands in Singleplayer, something that I definitely missed when trying to go back to 1.2.5. We also get that neat little open to LAN button that I'm sure was the start of many Minecraft players' addictions, allowing you to play privately with friends without having to find or host your own server. We also got Adventure Mode, which was great for map makers, emeralds and villager trading, written books, bonus chests, the new gravel texture, 3 signs per craft, tripwires, more pork chops, and boats that aren't more fragile than my ego. But I'm missing out a huge feature, the modding API.
We have decided that the next update, 1.3, won't be released until we have something bucket equivalent on the server side.
That's right, Mojang said that the 1.3 changes were in preparation to bring the modding API, and that was cited as the other main reason for the removal of single-player Minecraft. Wait, what exactly is the modding API? Well, essentially, it would be an official way, directly from the Minecraft developers, to create mods for the game. Instead of using methods made by the community based on highly obfuscated code and reverse engineering, like Forge, it would have proper documentation, better integration, and more. In short, for the regular player, it would mean less bugs, better compatibility, cooler and faster developed mods, and possibly even automatic downloads, updates, and, if we were lucky, multi-version support. Previously, mods written for one version of Minecraft had to almost always be completely rewritten to work with another. But with proper, supported interfaces, backwards and forwards compatibility, the modding API could have resulted in a revolution in the modding world. So, what happened to it? Well, after all that was said, and all of the promises, the modding API was postponed to 1.4. And then, eventually, indefinitely. Meaning that even in 2023, we don't have an official modding API. So, really? The only reason for the update was so that Mojang didn't have to work on 2 versions of the game at once, right? This means that there's no longer feature parity issues in Minecraft, right? I really wanted to end this video on a positive note, but yeah. Tell that to the Bedrock players.